So the strides and wins for the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure will be in focus. Minister Dean Macpherson will provide outcomes from the first quarter of the ministerial and MEC meetings. Macpherson is also expected to provide an update on the reform currently underway in the department. Newzroom Afrika's Nqobile Madlala is now joining us from that press briefing. A very good morning to you, Nqobile. Tell us about what we can expect from what the Minister will share with us this morning, considering the meetings that have been held with the various MECs.
Well, very important indeed, Aldrin. In fact, if you look at those meetings, which is called MinMac, those meetings looks at the MECs of each province basically coming back and saying these are the problems that we are facing. Now, to highlight some of those provinces, you're looking at Western Cape and you look at KZN. Those are some of the provinces that have been affected by mainly the construction mafias. Now, that has been a major hindrance within the infrastructure and public works departments, mainly because this has meant that it shrinks the amount of work or the amount of work that they've created, but also the investment in terms of the infrastructure. Now, because this has become such a huge issue, which has affected mainly the smaller companies, and you will remember that there are people that are upcoming and companies that are still working very hard to build and to ensure that they are coming into the industry. Now, if you have with some of these people that will come and hold you hostage, which we are told that they'll be holding guns, and what they're going for is the 30%, which is supposed to be given to these smaller micro companies, and they would say that this, because they are part of the community, they need that. Now, this has become a huge issue, meaning that there's no investment. And as a result, then, this conversation between the minister as well as the MECs tends to outline what are the issues and what to investigate. So what we saw then was the first of its kind, which was a meeting that looked at summits that looked at how they can stop this from taking place. Now, we need to see what are the strides that have taken place there. Have they arrested people? What are the percentages of the programs that has come up? I mean, we know that there's a situation that unfolded in Limpopo, for example, where there was also a project that went into a halt, which is much smaller, but they have worked on some of those projects, and the minister himself was one of the people that went on the ground to look at how they can deal with those issues. So that's going to be one of the major things in the briefing. But far beyond that, you have something like EPWP. Now, you'll remember that EPWP becomes a breadbasket for a lot of people that go into this kind of work. However, we have heard from the minister, he has said this have been used by some of the officials to enrich themselves, or also to use them in political ways. And so what they have been doing is they've been going on the ground, speaking to communities, speaking to people, and trying to understand how and what has been happening with EPWP and how can they intervene. So these are some of the things that he needs to basically look at in order for him to realize the dream. And you'll remember that he said his dream is to make sure that South Africa is a country in construction, and this means that there needs to be more investment in the country, and for him to get more investment, he needs to work on these problems. And one of the problems have been the mafia problems, which he did highlight that when he went to China, these are some of the things that they had spoken about, making sure that it's safer in terms of construction when you are doing your work. So this is to ensure if there is some safety, what is it they're going to put in place and what is the way forward. So we are expecting the minister to tell us how he's going to increase the investment. We're expecting to hear from him what's going to happen with PWP. We're also expecting to hear what is the strides going forward.